Hey there. So, are you wondering what some of the advantages and disadvantages are to either living in the Salt Lake City, Utah area or living here in the St. George area? Well, if so, you're in luck because today I'm going to be doing kind of a deep dive into advantages of why some people love living in Salt Lake, why some people absolutely love living here in St. George, and we're going to hop into it right now. Mariah Curla here. Welcome back to the channel, or welcome to the channel if this is your very first time here. I'm a licensed and active real estate agent here in Utah, and this channel is literally everything you need to know about eating, working, playing, sleeping, and living in Utah. So if that's of interest to you, consider subscribing down below and make sure you tap that bell for notifications so you are notified every week we drop a new video. We hear from people like you all the time who are looking to make a move, looking to relocate, or looking to sell their home here in Utah, and we absolutely love it. So if you're thinking about making a move in a week, in a month, or even a year from now, feel free to give us a call, shoot us a text, or send us an email, and it would be our absolute pleasure to connect with you. So I've gotten this question quite a bit lately, and this usually comes from either people who are moving here to Utah from out of state, or that are either living up in Salt Lake or living down in St. George, in the St. George area. So really some of the questions are, what are the advantages and disadvantages to living in more northern Utah where Salt Lake City is, or more southern Utah where St. George is, where I am today filming this video? So let's hop right into, first of all, we're going to start with some of the pros for living in, and the advantages really to living in Salt Lake City. So number one is simply the international airport. The international airport is right outside of downtown Salt Lake City. You're about 10 minutes outside of Salt Lake City. So if you are looking to commute and you are looking to travel a lot, that might be a great fit for you simply because the international airport is there. With that being said, here in St. George, yes, there is a small airport here in St. George, and actually there are flights from St. George to Salt Lake City. So if you are going back and forth, you can take a flight there. It is not an international airport, but you are an hour and a half, yes, an hour and a half away from Las Vegas. So Las Vegas has an international airport. So for some, that's a disadvantage living here in St. George, is simply there's not an international airport. Number two, an advantage for living in Salt Lake are simply the jobs and the job opportunities that are there in Salt Lake. There are so many jobs just with the tech industry, with the educational system. You've got a ton of different universities that are in and around the Salt Lake City, Utah area. You've got, Utah Valley University, you've got University of Utah, you've got Weber State, you've got Brigham Young University, and it goes on and on. So you've got a lot of universities there. Here in St. George, they have what used to be called Dixie College. Now I believe they call it Utah Tech or something like that. But they have that university here just a little bit north of St. George. They have Utah, or it's called SUU, Southern Utah University. So again, more universities up in the Salt Lake area, less down here in St. George, but just those job opportunities with that, more jobs located up in the Salt Lake area as opposed to St. George. For some people, that doesn't deter them one way or another. Okay, advantage and disadvantage to both the northern and the southern parts of the state, and we have to talk about weather. So up in Salt Lake, right now, it is winter time here in Utah, and as you can see, I've got a light coat on. I mean, really just a light sweater on. It feels great here. The sun is out. It feels amazing. I think it's like 55 or 60 degrees. Up in northern Utah right now, it is snowing and it's right around 30 degrees. So the difference just in climate alone makes it so a lot of people that live in the Salt Lake area, they love coming down here to St. George during the winter simply because it looks like this. And it's sunny and probably 30 degrees warmer here than it is in Salt Lake. However, when you reverse that in the summertime, here in St. George in the summertime is hot. I mean, we're talking, you're going to have 3 to 4 months of 90 to 100-degree days. And again, some people love that. Again, here in Utah, it's a dry hot, but it is hot here, and it's going to be a lot hotter here in St. George than it is in Salt Lake. So sometimes people do this reverse. So sometimes people that live in Salt Lake City, they actually have a place down here in that they spend a lot of time down here in the winter, simply because it looks like this, and you've got the red rocks, and you've got all, a lot of different things there are to do here in St. George. On the flip side, though, in the summertime, you have a lot of people that lived here that go live in Salt Lake during the summer, simply because you're going to have a lot cooler climate and it's going to be a lot more comfortable. Next up, let's talk about the outdoor activities. There are an abundance of outdoor activities both in Salt Lake and in the St. George area. And really, people who love the outdoors, they are super happy with Salt Lake, simply because of the hiking, the biking, the fishing, the canoeing, the kayaking, the paddle boarding, the skiing, the snowboarding, the snowshoeing. I mean, I could go on and on and on and on. All the running trails, all the biking trails, you got it. And really, same thing here with St. George, though, too. People come down here all the time to be outdoors. There are a lot of hiking trails. There are a lot of biking trails. An advantage to down here in southern Utah are simply the national parks are a lot closer. So from the St. George area, you've got Zion National Park that's 30 minutes away. Bryce Canyon's going to be closer. Arches National Park is going to be closer. Capitol Reef is going to be closer to St. George, simply because our mighty 5 national parks are located in southern Utah. So again, outdoor activities, a lot of people, they love going to Lake Powell. Lake Powell is about an hour and a half away from St. George as well. So I would say, if I'm looking at advantages and disadvantages, outdoor activities for Salt Lake and for St. George you're going to have a lot of outdoor activities in both areas across the board. Let's talk about cost of living. Cost of living used to be a lot more affordable here in St. George. Prices over really since COVID have skyrocketed here in St. George. In Salt Lake City, prices are usually more expensive. The cost of living is usually more expensive in Salt Lake than it is here in St. George. Here in St. George, you're still able to get a little bit more bang for your buck, but prices here have increased a lot. So cost of living is actually fairly comparable. Again, it used to be a lot of people used to buy second homes down here, but like I said, because of the affordability, because the cost of houses have gone up so much, you don't see that as much, but you still do. So hopefully this gives you a good idea of really some of the advantages and disadvantages to either living in Salt Lake City. Like we talked about, Salt Lake City is closer in proximity to the airport. Generally, there are going to be more job opportunities there. The education with the different universities, you're going to see more of that. And the cost of living there tends to be a little bit lower than, well, it used to be, but Salt Lake City is going to be a little bit more expensive than it is here in the St. George area. And then we did talk about just the outdoor activities, that you're going to see a lot of outdoor activities both in Salt Lake City and then in St. George. And then some of the advantages that we talked about here in St. George is really, here we are in the wintertime and you've got beautiful sunny degree weather. The summers do get hotter. The affordability is a little bit less than Salt Lake. You're going to have a ton of different outdoor activities, but again, just depending on what you're looking for. And then last, we didn't really touch on this much, but St. George is more of that small town feel. You're going to have large streets, but you're really going to have less people. There's been more traffic here over the years simply because lots more people have found out about St. George, but it's much, much, much smaller than Salt Lake City. So again, if you are thinking about making a move, relocating, or simply have questions, my team and I, we help people like you all the time, and we absolutely love it. So if you're thinking about making a move in a week, in a month, or even a year from now, feel free to give us a call, shoot us a text, or send us an email, and it would be our absolute pleasure to connect with you. Take care and have a great one. Bye.